late changes, the Saints showed a lot of gut, and our Pies fourth quarter specialists now. Let's play the intro. So I've got them winning by 44 points. My big call for this game is Steve-O kicking 5 goals. So as you can see, I was pretty close with the margin in the last episode. We won by 41, so I was 3 points off, and I'll pat myself on the back for that one. So Clark wanted to be in this video again. Steve-O didn't kick the 5 goals that I said he would as my big call. He kicked 3, 70 metre barrel, 70 metre torp. I think that counts for 2, so double pats for that one. Before the first bounce, there were 2 lates out. Jagowi came out and Moore came out. Replacing them was Wills and Aish. You know, that really looked to derail our structure. Jagowi, not only can he play forward, but he goes into midfield when we need that extra grunt. And Moore obviously has been one of the backline prodigies throughout the season, and not just for Collingwood, for the AFL in general. So when those outs happened, I thought that Reid would go down back, take more spot. It would be the natural thing to do. But then looking at the Saints forward line, medium-sized forwards, so Maynard, Crisp, Howe and Roughhead had that covered, so we could leave Reid in the forward line. So it looked like the Saints took a leaf out of Carlton's book, shooting from the blocks in the first quarter and going into the second. They really went with us for the best part of 3 quarters. That third quarter, they were kind of trailing off. You could tell that we went up that extra gear that we needed to, and the fourth quarter, you know, they were pretty much nowhere to be seen. But like I said in my previous video, the Saints were ready for a fight and they were ready to bring it to us. And although their story of competitiveness was well and good for the first 3 quarters, that last quarter, like I said, they couldn't keep up with us and we just clicked into an extra gear that the Saints just couldn't match. There was a period in the second quarter where the ball just wouldn't get out of the Saints forward line. I felt like all we were doing was pushing it out and it was coming back in. And the Saints actually had 15 inside 50s in a row. And that's when the ball kept coming out and coming out, coming in, coming out. But thankfully, they couldn't kick straight and they couldn't put that scoreboard pressure on to really give us that knockout blow, because they did have us up against the ropes in that first half. When the players finally realised that, hey, you know, we actually got a game on today in the third quarter, they went up an extra gear. But kudos to the Saints, honestly. They went up that exactly same gear, and in that third quarter, 10 goals were shared, 5 goals and 5 goals each. But in that last quarter, we kicked it up 2 extra gears, clipping their wings and leaving them in the shadow of the dying sunlight at the MCG. Like I mentioned in my intro, the Pies are looking at becoming last quarter specialists. Against Carlton last week, 7 last quarter goals. Yeah, sure, Carlton pushed us a little bit more than the Saints did, but there was 7 last quarter goals in last week's game. This week's game, we kicked 6 last quarter goals. And these last 2 weeks have read the same. Teams come out to play against us, and in the fourth quarter we go, nah, actually it's time to put the foot down, time to land that knockout blow. Personally, I'd like that to happen in the first half, but like I've been saying, we keep giving teams hope, we keep giving these teams a chance to come back. But thankfully, like I said in last week's video, the good teams know how to win, and we are a good team. On paper, I feel like this was our weaker side that we fielded in the last year or so. Our injury tolls are mounting. Jagowi and Moore, they do look like precautionary late outs, except for Jagowi, he has that ongoing leg problem. But hopefully Moore, it's nothing serious. They reckon that he just pulled up short. But after 2 so-so performances, you think Bucks and the coaching staff are really going to light a fire under these underperforming guys, with all the players coming back from injury that will look to be pushing him to the best 22. Ben gosh darn Reid. So I've been talking this guy up for a few weeks. Alright, that was a lie. I haven't been talking him up. I've actually been on his case. If you've been watching my videos, you've been keeping up. He's just proven me wrong in this game. It's actually one of the best performances I've seen him play in a long time. He was clunking marks, 16 disposals, 3 goals, and you could just see the joy on his face when he was kicking those goals. Everyone was getting around him. It looks like he knows that he's been underperforming, and it was just so great to see him back on the big stage performing like we know he can. So along with those 3 goals, 7 big marks and 10 contested possessions. That's what you ask from your forwards, especially your big guys. He was playing up the ground a little bit as well, kind of like, you know, when Cox gets up the ground. He took a couple of ruck tap outs as well, which was good. I harked on him about him for that last week, but he did well. This guy's always going to feature in these likes and dislikes after a game. Grundy. 49 hitouts, over 20 disposals. Even though Marshall looked like to have the better of him in that first half, Grundy just came out. He's racking up midfield numbers. I've never seen a ruckman do this kind of thing. You know, Gawn's good rucking around the ground, but he doesn't follow up. He doesn't turn into that rover, into that midfielder like Grundy does. And you can see why Adelaide's offering him, 1.4 a season over 8 seasons. Yeah, he's here this year and he's still contracted for next year. We need to throw a blank check at him, need to keep him at all costs. We're building a premiership around this guy. Last year, Steele went about it so quietly, silent assassin, came so close into Brownlow as well. Equal best and fairest far for us. But yesterday's game, 29 disposals and 2 goals when it counted the most. That second goal came in the last quarter. He just strolled into 50 after leaving 2 Saints in his wake. Kicked it. I just love his celebration. Just the double fist pumps going. Everyone gets around him, and it just obviously brings a smile to my face. It's so good to see. I think one of my favourite plays of the day was when Steele in that last quarter, he had it against the pocket, tight against the pocket. Anyone else would kind of left foot check side that or right foot banana that trying to go for goal. But he check sided it with his right foot into the path of Myercheck, and Myercheck lined up and kicked his 4th goal. And that symbolises Steele. Team player, and you can see why he's one of the leaders of the club. Special mention to Stevo, a 70-metre barrel from beyond the centre square. This kid can really, really play. Not much to dislike about the game in general, but our growing injury list is starting to become a problem now. Elliott is out for 3 to 4 weeks. Cox is still out with this ankle. Moore laid out. Dugowie laid out. Langdon did his knee in the second quarter, wasn't seen for the rest of the match, so we don't even know the extent of that injury yet. We do have that depth. Losing Langdon would be a huge thing, but hopefully it was nothing serious and it was just a precaution that they took him off. They didn't want to do any more damage to his knee. I know we're only in May and we shouldn't be playing like September's just around the corner and it's a semi-final or a prelim final, but we really just need to tighten up these shocking 3-quarter patches, because that's what it's been the last 2 weeks. 3 quarters of just not bad football. It's just football that is un-Collingwood. It's going into the game with a big head, even though they might not be going into the game with a big head. But I just feel like they're just strolling it first gear, second gear, and wanting things to happen instead of willing things to happen. So 1 vote, Ben Reid. 3 goals, 7 marks. Really played out of his skins today. Like I said, one of the best games I've seen him play. 2 votes to Steele. He went at nearly 80% disposal efficiency, 29 disposals, and 2 goals when it counted. Really stood up when we needed to. 3 votes. Who else but Grundy? I think I'm just going to reserve next week's 3 votes for Grundy as well. He has to be the best player in the competition at the moment. Definitely the best ruckman. Probably the best midfielder in the competition as well. But love the way he went about yesterday. Especially since that first half where he lowered his numbers. He really picked them up in that second half and was a cog in how we won. Special mention to Adam Treloar. 38 disposals I think he had. He only went at about, I think it was 65 to 70% disposal efficiency. Would have featured in this, but he needs to... It's just that disposals, yeah, it's good to rack them up, but if you're just bombing them to bomb them long, and if the ball's coming back, it's not really... Obviously, it's not an effective disposal, and it just doesn't help us, but I did like how he went about his game yesterday as well. Geez, we are a good football team. I harped on about the depth last week, and even Will's coming in, he played in the forward line. He actually did quite well. I know I was harsh on him. I was actually surprised to see him come in. I thought Quaynor would come in for a debut. I even thought Wells might come in. Ash was good after his concussion. He came back, so that was nice to see as well. But yeah, we have a great football team, and I can't wait to see how far into the season we go and how far into September that we go. Also, I want to mention that Charles Farker hit. He doesn't play for Geelong anymore. His surname's not Ablett. I think he will get rubbed out. Maybe a week. Hopefully a fine. But like I said, he's not in Geelong colours. He's not Ablett. So I think he will get rubbed out. Alright, so bring on the Swans next week. Interstate, Friday night. It's going to actually be a big game. The Swans just beat North Melbourne. They just beat Essendon the week before as well. We know that everyone's going to come out firing against Collingwood like it's their grand final. Everyone has a point to prove. We have won 6 on the trot though, so that's actually a stat that I forgot to bring up previously, but that's really good. Let's make it 7 on Friday night. Like, subscribe, comment, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and I'll swoop you later.